I left Alaska for the first time in over a decade, and despite staying in the Pacific Northwest, it was a trip of a lifetime. Now we simply can't afford to travel, so when my mother-in-law invited us and offered to pay, we couldn't say no. We spent 2 weeks on the road, driving wherever we wanted around Washington and Oregon. Our kids got to experience many things for the first time, which included everything from roller coasters, water parks, zoos, aquariums, and museums. We've been back home for a while now, and the kids are still talking about everything that they experienced. While they loved seeing all the animals, I think the arcades were the cherry on top. There were some days where we had no idea where we'd end up or what we would do for the day. And honestly, those might have been some of my favorite days. Like this random arcade we found in Lincoln City happened to be one of the best ones we came across. There were also days where we had plans to visit people and places. No matter what we ended up doing, every day was unforgettable. When I was 16, my parents brought me to the Oregon Coast Aquarium, and being able to go again with my kids was so surreal. The last time I was here was in 2014, and it was really fun to see all the things that they have changed and things that have stayed the same. While some days we drove hundreds of miles in a day, we did end up spending a lot of our time along the coast. Almost everything the kids ended up doing was a first for them, and a good handful of things was a first for all the adults. On one of the hottest days we were down there, we had some air-conditioned fun. After some mini golf, my husband and kids went bowling for their first time. While everyone had a lot of fun, unfortunately, my husband dislocated his good knee. Thankfully, a lot of places were handicap accessible and were able to accommodate him. It even made going through the airport to go back home a lot faster. While we spent a lot of time on the Oregon coast, we also spent quite a bit in Seattle. My mother-in-law bought city passes, so we did everything we could while we were there. And while I'm absolutely in love with my home in Alaska, there are just some things that we can't do or see every day. While I have hours of footage from the entire trip, I did my best to condense everything as much as I could. I haven't gone to a zoo since I was 11, so that's why it took way too many videos. We did just about everything that you could think of while we were in Seattle, and even though I never heard of it before, Wings Over Washington was actually so much cooler than going up the Ferris wheel. And while I've gone to Seattle many times as a kid, I've actually never been up the Space Needle before, so that was a really fun thing to experience with my kids for the first time. We wanted to go again during the nighttime to see the city lights, but my husband couldn't with his knee. Another thing I wanted to do but never got the chance was to visit the Mopop Museum. It was so much cooler than I expected, and it was a lot of fun to see things on display that I have seen so many pictures of in the past. Since we didn't go back to the Space Needle at night, we did end up going to the mall, where Grandma and the kids got to make their very first Build-A-Bears. The first and only time I ever went was also the same time that I went to my first zoo. Initially, our trip was planned to be about a week and a half, but after spending some extra time with family, we realized we didn't have enough time to do everything we planned in Seattle. And since our city passes were paid in advance, we ended up extending our trip by a few days. I'm incredibly grateful that all of our bosses were very understanding because, like I mentioned before, it has been over a decade since I left Alaska. And a quick fun fact, this mural was done by Ray Troll from Ketchikan, who is an Alaskan artist that lives the next island over from me. And I didn't see who the artist of the next mural was, but I am obsessed with the farmland that was incorporated. And while I didn't get many videos, we also went to Pike's Place for the very first time. And to wrap up our trip, we had to go to a sky zone. While I've always wanted to go while I was younger, it was still fun even as an adult. Aside from the trampolines, I think the kids had the most fun with the zip line. If anyone is interested, I have so much that I can share from the trip. I just wanted to condense as much as I could into one video. I'm so incredibly grateful for my mother-in-law, JC, because without her, this trip would have never been possible. And thanks to her, my kids will have experiences they'll talk about for the rest of their lives.